When most people want portable video, they refer to flip video. This is a flip video ultra. But back in 2004, a device that seemed very much ahead of its time existed. This is the Concord DVX, which looks very similar to a Sony Weapon. Was the DVX ahead of its time, or was there actually a clear evolution to this? Let's see. As far as functions went, this was quotably the Swiss Army knife of devices. It was really a digital video camera, but it had other functions including digital still camera, digital voice recorder, stereo MP3 player, even though it only had one speaker, SD card reader, and flashlight. While the flip video only had video recording. But the software allows you to take stills from video, and it does have its own playback. In terms of memory, the DVX required and shipped with a 128 megabyte SD card, which is of course upgradable. But the 128 megabyte SD card was supposedly able to take 34 minutes of TV quality video. Which is odd, considering how the Canon, the camera we're filming with right now, takes 13 gigabytes per hour, or 6.5 gigabytes for what this was supposedly able to take in 128 megabytes. With that aside, the flip video came with 2 gigabytes of onboard storage and had absolutely nothing to do with SD cards. It had 2 gigabytes, which meant 2 hours of video time, which is 1 gigabyte per hour, or half gigabyte for the similar 34 minutes or so. That supposedly means that this device has 4 times the space efficiency of this device. Although I'm not very sure of that. The DVX has a removable cover, which allows you to see an SD card holding slot that does absolutely nothing, and a lithium-ion battery. This was rechargeable and not replaceable, at least as far as we were concerned. This took quite some time to charge, about 4 hours. On the Flip Video Ultra, the bottom part, if I can get it open, of the case comes off to reveal 2 AA batteries. However, Flip allowed you to use a kind of rechargeable battery that would allow you to charge it by USB. And that also took around 4 hours. So they're fairly similar in that aspect. And before we go any further, we should discuss the prices. This thing ran in 2004 for somewhere around $100. While this thing, in the 2008 era, ran for $150. So this was slightly cheaper. It reminds me quite a bit of the Creative Beta. As far as the similarities go, they have very similar button layouts, they had similar charge times, somewhere around 4 hours, and they both took TV quality, which was 640 by 480 resolution video. And they both had a slot for TV, and some way of going to USB, although this one required a cord. But like all things, this ran down over time. The LCD no longer works and does not really hold the charge anymore. So it really only lasted a year. And now it's time for the most important part, the video comparison. We're going to compare the colors, the motion, and the audio of these 3 using similar tests. Let's start. Now it's time for video comparisons, the most important part of this show today. This is what determines the 2 camcorders from each other, because I don't care if this thing can play MP3s. Let's see which one can take the heat. Colors can make a lot of difference in a video. You can look like a tomato, you can look like a grapefruit. It really all depends on how it picks up color. Let's take a look. Wow, talk about a difference in color. The DVX begins smoking and the Flip gets a point. Ignoring my inability to dance, let's now incorporate motion. DVX, that was pretty choppy. Flip did actually alright. even with the light comparison we had of that light shining down. So, flip gets a point, DVX goes up and even more smoke. Normally, DVX would be exploding on fire by now, but since the DVX is known for a voice recorder, let's give it the chance to test its audio for the flip. We'll start with a computer-generated piece, which is the song Storms, from The Legend of Zelda. If you're not familiar, just listen to the tune. We'll then record it using the microphone from DVX, then the microphone from the flip, and we'll see how they compare. The DVX is a powerful microphone, and what I mean by that is an average microphone being amplified by software, just like the rest of its features are. However, the flip, which does not even record itself down as an audio recording thing, has much better quality than the so-called voice recorder. So you can guess what happens. A point for the flip, and the DVX goes down.